Well, it's Monday and we are finally in a new book. This is Tracy Lene and we are on The Divine Law of Compensation by Marianne Williamson. If you're new to my channel, what I do is I read the book, adding my 2 cents to it. This way, not only do you get to enjoy the book, you get to enjoy somebody giving you their 2 cents and hearing my children in the background because I'm new at all of this. So I don't have a studio just yet or a space where nobody's talking. Somebody's always talking. So here we go. The law of divine compensation on work, money, and miracles. Chapter 1. The law of divine compensation. Some people walk into a room and the word winner is written all over them. You don't necessarily know what their secret is, but you wish you had it. Was it in their childhood programming, family connections, some amazing talent? As many successful people are as there are in the world, there are that many reasons for success. But one kind of material abundance derives from almost every other worldly charisma, a sense of magic some people carry around with them like an aura of destiny. They may or may not have had the past experiences one normally associates with material success. Their success seems almost to have come from something else. This book is about that something else and the power that it gives us. It's about a spiritual zone that has nothing to do with where we've been or how we've been educated or whether we've succeeded so far or have failed miserably. It's about the ultimate success and perfection of God, potential in all of us, whether made manifest now, yet always available. And God, potential in all of us, whether made manifest or not. Gotcha. Yet always available for full expression. Each of us is pregnant with the manifestation of that perfection, for that is who we are. That's my grandchild. By aligning yourself with thoughts of infinite love for yourself and others, you gain dominion over the lower thought forms of the world. This way is not a substitute for any worldly path of success, so much as an inner way that informs all others. It is a path to material abundance through immaterial means and a set of spiritual keys to worldly power. The ways of spirits are not the ways of sacrifice, but rather a way of opening yourself fully to the infinite glories of the universe. The glories are there. They merely await your acceptance. What follows is an explanation of what they are, how they operate, and how you can tap into them. The universe is set up to work on your behalf. The world is not a giant, uncaring, random expression of biological processes, but rather a living, breathing reflection of love for all living things. The universe itself is miraculous. You do not have to believe this, of course. It might not feel that way to you at all. But spiritual laws aren't called the good news for nothing. Spiritual truth is always at work beyond what the eyes can see. It describes an invisible other world that exists in a realm beyond our mortal circumstances. Our interactions with the spiritual world is governed by our thoughts. When we know this truth and consciously align our thoughts with it, sometimes even despite how we feel, we achieve its spiritual power. We transform our mortal circumstances by bringing our thoughts about them into alignment with the world that lies beyond. You've heard people say, fake it till you make it, or believe it and then you'll achieve it. What that really means is whatever something looks like, that's not necessarily what it is. That's what it's moving through. So you're right in that space where it's moving through. If you have worked hard to gain a thing, you will get that thing. So an example for me would be, you guys know I make things. Like I made these earrings I have on. Aren't they gorgeous? I was in this store called The Painted Tree. I was in there for a year. The first half of the year, I was doing great. Then I started only breaking even. And then in the last 4 months, I wasn't breaking even. I was losing money. And I decided to pray and meditate to decide on whether to stay in the store or to leave. So I wrote down stay in store and I wrote leave store by July 1st. I wrote both of them. I meditated. I balled the paper up. I did all of the things I know to do to make sure that I was making the decision that comes from spirit. And the decision that came was leave the store by July 1st. Well, July 1st came and I thought, maybe I'll stay. That wasn't supposed to be. Somebody else had bought the space, so I had to get my stuff out of there because it wasn't mine anymore. But that doesn't make me a failure. I guarantee you that is just moved out of the way so that I can be more successful. I'm at other stores. I'll be more successful, but I had to know when it was time to leave. If you think of yourself as being the effect of a random universe that does not care about you, then you will experience your life that way. If you think of yourself as being the effect of a loving universe that does care about you, then you will experience your life that way. I decided to believe that this just wasn't the time for me in that store. Many people in that store were leaving. Instead of me thinking this was random, it was just me, failing. No, I felt like, nope, I didn't fail. I just have to restart. No matter what is happening in our lives, we choose how we wish to think about it. And the greatest gift we give ourselves is often our willingness to change our minds. And you can always change your mind. At any given point, you can change your mind about anything. You can change your mind about having children. Well, once you have children, they're already there. So you can't change your mind and say you don't want no children. You will have to figure that one out. But you can change your mind about anything else besides that, because they're there already. So don't change your mind about that. They're here. Love on them babies. They're going to be your greatest asset. Trust me. Where's that? And the greatest we get, okay, despite what might seem to be the saddest and most intractable situation, we have the power to believe that something else is possible, that things can change, that a miracle can happen. The simple shift in how we think can make all the difference in what happens next. How we think releases an infinite number of possibilities that could not have occurred had we not believed that they were possible. You've got to believe that things are possible for you. Even if you're not ready to believe it all the way, this is how I started. I would say, well, I don't know if that can happen. I mean, maybe it could. I didn't say that's not going to happen. I said, I'm not sure. Well, I guess it could happen. It happened for other people. I guess it could happen for me. That leaves the door open enough so that spirit can work on your behalf. By whatever name you call God, can work on your behalf if you're willing to leave the door open. But if you slam the door shut, if you close yourself off to things, you're closed off until you open it up. Nobody coming to save you. You got to save yourself. You're going to have to let go of all those things that make you feel like you can't do something and be willing to do something. That simple shift in how we think can make all the difference in what happens next. How we think releases an infinite number of possibilities that could not have occurred had we not believed that they were possible. Such is the power of our thought to attract as well as to deflect miraculous breakthroughs. Free will means you can think whatever you want to think. You cannot, however, make untrue what is true or true what is untrue. The universe does care about you. The universe is set up to work on your behalf. And the universe is capable of bringing miraculous transformation to any situation of brokenness or lack. Regardless of what has happened in your life, the universe is able and prepared to bring you comfort and repair. Let me say that again, because sometimes people don't believe that. Regardless of what has happened in your life, the universe is able and prepared to bring you comfort and repair. In this book, she uses word universe, but some people say God, you may say Allah, you may say Jesus, whatever the name of your infinite being, she uses the word universe to represent that. So don't get caught up on that and go, why she ain't saying about Jesus yet? Or, well, where's Allah? No, it's where you want it to be. This is her writing the book and me reading it, but you just replace the name for the name that resonates with you. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater because you don't want to, because I ain't say the name that you recognize. You recognize that name, so you say it. That's all that matters. You are loved, and your purpose is to love. From a mind filled with infinite love comes the power to create infinite possibilities. We have the power to think in ways that reflect and attract all the love in the world. Such thinking is called enlightenment. Enlightenment is not a process we work towards, but a choice available to us in any instant. Enlightenment is the answer to every problem. In any situation where you seem to be at the effect of forces over which you have no control, remember that God, she did say God right there, God dwells within your mind, and there are no forces over which he has no control. Now, if you know me, I believe that the divine is a she, and that there is a he too. But I'm connecting with she right about now in my life. I don't know, it might change. I'm one of those people. My daughter said to me the other day that I was crazy, sporadic, and random. And I like that. So that's what I am. Crazy, sporadic, and random. So I could randomly change at any moment. And I'm okay with that. I've decided to embrace all of me. The good, the bad, and the amazing. I'm not going to say the ugly because ain't no ugly about me. It's just all amazing. That does not mean I don't make mistakes. It just means that I recognize that my mistakes are opportunities for me to grow. If I continue in the mistake, then it's not a mistake. It's intentional. And I am just like the Bible says, I am a fool that returns to his folly, like the dog returns to his vomit. If you do something and you stop doing it, then you're not a fool. But if you keep doing it, you're a fool. because you're returning to the same thing you're doing, and you're a fool. Now, at any point, you can stop being a fool, but while you still returning to the same thing you was doing that you shouldn't have been doing, you're a fool. And that's God, not me. Read your book. Anywho, there are no forces in which he has no control. And y'all also know, if you've been watching me long enough, that I can go all the way left, but I tie back in, so I'm coming back. Therefore, through his power within you, there are no mortal conditions over which you are powerless. Whenever your good is obscured by the appearance of a non-loving world, the universe is programmed to lift you out of that condition and return you to an abundant state. But if you decide that's where you want to stay, you're going to sit in that stink forever. As an expression of divine perfection, the universe is both self-organized and self-correcting. To whatever extent your mind is aligned with love, you will receive divine compensation for any lack in your material existence. From spiritual substance will come material manifestation. Let me say that again. From spiritual substance will come material manifestation. This is not just a theory, it is a fact. It is a law by which the universe operates. I call it the law of divine compensation, hence the name of the book. Just as there are objective, discernible laws of external phenomena, so there are objective, discernible laws of internal phenomena. The law of gravity, for instance, is not just a belief. It is true whether or not you believe it. Jump out that window with nothing to help you fly, and you'll know that gravity is definitely a law. You ain't got to believe it. You can test for yourself. It is true whether you believe it or not. Spiritual laws are not just beliefs either. They are descriptions of how consciousness operates. Try a spiritual law. Try this tomorrow morning. I do this every morning. I swear this shit works. Every morning I get up, I have a set of things that I choose. I choose abundance. I choose joy. I choose love. I choose to be present. I choose not to argue with anybody. I choose to let people be exactly who they are. The reason why I say it every day is because the human mind can get in my way, and I can want to rah-rah with people that rah-rah with me, but my mind, now that I say those things every morning, goes back to the choice. That's a spiritual choice. I choose to wake up every day, and even if something is like coming at me that I don't like, I have to say, well, what is it that I'm supposed to experience with this? It's like Gandhi, y'all, up in this bitch. I'm like, yes, I'm going to be Mother Teresa. I'm not going to get upset. Now, so far, nothing has come to punch me in my throat, because there are things that, can be very heavy, and I will have to figure out how to manage that, because I'm definitely not able to handle things, God forbid, like the loss of a child. That would be too much for me. But I'm talking about the everyday things. Go to work, somebody pissed me off, somebody cut me off, the children don't act right. I'm talking about that kind of thing. I learned how to rise above that. So that's the spiritual part about it. Once we know this law, there's a natural tendency of the universe to improve all things. I promise you, since I have been living that way, deciding that no matter what, I'm not going to let things bother me. I'm going to say, this is a minor inconvenience. So just transparency. I work at a school, and sometimes the children can really try you. But I just go, I don't know what happened at their house earlier. I don't know what they're going through. So I'm not going to take it personal, because remember, we just read those agreements. What's that first one? Be impeccable with your word. What's that second one? Don't take anything personal. So now that I'm not taking things personal, it's a whole lot better for me. Anyway, let's get back to the reading of this book, because I don't want to I want to get through the whole chapter. Let's go. The practical issue is whether we choose thoughts that activate or deactivate the law of divine compensation. We activate it with every loving thought. We deactivate it when we give more credence to the reality and power of the material world than to the reality and power of love. Love can change everything. It really can. If our circumstances tempt us to think thought says, I must not be good enough, I will never have another chance, it will take forever for this to right itself, or I hate whoever this is to blame for this, then miracles, though they are programmed into the nature of the universe, cannot make their way into our awareness, because you block them off. So if you've decided that it's not going to work out, how people say, I knew that wasn't going to work. Well, that's why it didn't work, because you knew it wasn't going to work. With every thought we think, we either summons or block a miracle. Now, I remember being in church circa 1992, and Reverend Williamson at Union Temple Baptist Church in Washington, D.C. said that a miracle is just used to jumpstart your faith, because the definition of a miracle actually is not even real. A miracle is the impossible made possible. However, God says nothing is impossible if you believe. So then really the miracle is just for people who have some little doubts in their mind. So you need a miracle to jumpstart your faith. But after you can't expect a miracle every damn day. At some point, you got to decide you are the miracle and that you're possible and that nothing is impossible if you believe. The word itself, impossible, has possible in it. It really, if you break it down, it says, I'm possible. I believe that people say things are impossible because they don't know how to do it. The ego gets in the way. You say, I remember I said to my oldest son once, I said, well, nothing is impossible. He said, man, you can't jump out the window and fly. I said, not right now. We haven't figured out how to do it. So it's not impossible. We just haven't figured it out. So instead of saying we just haven't figured it out and taking the onus that we don't know something, we'd rather say it's impossible. I think that's why people say things are impossible. Because they don't know how to figure it out. So it's easier to say, that can't be done. That's impossible. That way you ain't got to try to figure it out and fail a few times before you figure it out. Nelson Mandela said, everything was once impossible until it was done. Or something like that. Google that one. I put it on a bag. What says, it seemed impossible until it was done. That's what his saying is. It is not our circumstance then, but rather our thoughts about our circumstances that determine our power to transform them. And that's the truth. You can live in a hut, but if you think that hut is a mansion and you keep it clean and you talk about how amazing that hut is going to transform into a mansion because your mind is going to outgrow that hut and the mansion is going to come into its play. But if you just talk about how terrible it is, it's just going to get worse and raggedier because you just ungrateful. At least you got a roof over your head. And what are you doing to get something better, huh? You just laying around wishing for something to happen? I remember hearing, I'm not sure who said it, but I know it was one of the ministers in the nation said, if you can make rock outs all day and stay in there and pray on your prayer rug, but if you don't get up off that rug and go do something, all you're going to do is have your forehead print in that rug. You got to get up and work. The law of divine compensation applies equally to all situations. But in this book, we will focus on its application to money, Skrilla, and the lack thereof. In a time of economic uncertainty, when circumstances make it particularly tempting to believe in the scarcity of the material plane over the abundance of the spiritual, our capacity to think differently is the miracle worker's edge. I'm going to have to read this book a little bit different because she speaks different from me. So we're going to do that one over so that you can understand it. And let me slow down. The law of divine compensation applies equally to all situations. But in this book, we will focus on its application to money and the lack thereof. In a time of economic uncertainty, when circumstances make it particularly tempting to believe in the scarcity of the material plane over the abundance of the spiritual, our capacity is to think differently, and that will be the miracle worker's edge. If you think that you are in survival mode, you will never have more. You have got to cancel that thought out. It ain't never survival mode. You're always in abundance mode. When you think, it's just the switching of the words, because I wish my grandchildren I didn't tell them I was going to be doing this, so to their favor. Next time I'm going to do this when they're not, maybe when they sleep. Okay. Where was I at? Okay. Bills stare you in the face, foreclosure looms, credit is wrecked, jobs aren't available, and with all that comes chaos on many fronts. Who doesn't need a miracle then? If you identify only with your body and its reality rather than with your spirit and its reality, then you're tempted to think that diminished material assets somehow diminish who you are. But you are not merely a being of a material world. You are a being of unlimited spirit. And in spirit, there is no lack. Let me say that again. And in spirit, there is no lack. Don't y'all Christians say, in my Father's house, there are many mansions. And if it was not true, I wouldn't have told you so. You say the streets in heaven are paved with gold. So you got all that abundance. Why don't you have shoes on your feet? Why are you begging for food? Now, you may get in that space for a moment in time because it may be the valley experience you need to get your ass to the top of the mountain. But if you stay down there in the valley, that's your choice. You're in a scarcity mindset. You're in survival mode. And survival mode has never, ever, ever produced millionaires. It hasn't even produced people who can pay their damn bills because you're in survival mode. You better get out of that. But you are not, okay, we said that. You are not lacking just because of your circumstances are. If your core belief is lack and you carry that belief with you, then you will subconsciously perpetrate. Why can't I say that word? Let's go back. If your core belief is I lack, that's why, because I didn't read the sentence right. If your core belief is I lack and you carry that belief with you, then you will subconsciously perpetrate or create the circumstances that reflect that belief. You are what you believe you are. You attract to people who are going to treat you the way you treat yourself. If you are being punched in the face by somebody, it's because you punch yourself in the face every day with lies and the words and speaking negativity over yourself. Because when you love yourself fully, people have to love you fully because that's all you're available for. The people who don't love you fully, they will fade to black. Regardless of what limits exist in your material world, your immutable truth is that you are an unlimited spiritual being. By remembering this, you summons the law of divine compensation. You are a loving idea in the mind of God. Circumstances should not and need not tempt you to believe otherwise. The universe showers you with love, not because of what you have done or not done, but because of who you are. Think of the universe itself as a personal love note from God to you. God is love, and in sharing his love, you share his power. By aligning yourself with the thoughts of the infinite love for yourself and others, you gain dominion over the lower thought forms of the world. In a material sense, your situation might indeed be bleak. You might have been given a raw deal, even been betrayed by others. But when you get betrayed by others, you have been betraying yourself for so long. It's just coming out in a material form. And if you're willing to sit down and write down the thoughts that you think about yourself, the things you've done to yourself, the things you said you were going to do, but you didn't do, the way you betray yourself when you do things that you know aren't good for you, then you'll see, oh, I see why such and such did such and such and such and such to me. I betrayed myself. Well, I'm going to go ahead and forgive them. I'm going to go ahead and forgive me, and I'm going to move on. Now, you may not move on with that person in your space, but once you forgive them, you also free them. They might go on to betray other people, but that ain't none of your business. Your business is you, and you forgiving you and forgiving them. In a material sense, your situation might indeed be bleak. I already said that. We'll say it again. You might have been given a raw deal, even been betrayed by others. You yourself might have made a huge mistake. Still, what matters is what you think now. Are you lingering in the past, or are you allowing for a miracle in the present? Are you blaming yourself and others, or blessing yourself and others? Are you clinging to your faith in the reality of the disaster, or opening to your mind to the possibility of a miracle? Realign your thoughts with the thoughts of God. And in any given instant, the universe is ready to begin again. The laws of time and space are more malleable than we think. Mistakes and wrong turns need not to throw us off. The capacity for correction is built into the universe, just as it is into the workings of a GPS. If you programmed an address into your GPS, but then take a different turn that it recommends, the GPS automatically takes you a new route. And so does the universe. So let's say you do something that you know you shouldn't have done, but you did it anyway. You just did it. You just wanted to. So you did it. And now the consequences of that are upon you. You have some choices to make. You can wallow in the consequences and that woe is me, or you can say, well, I just got to course correct. And if you need to apologize to somebody for something you did, if it affected somebody else, apologize. If they don't accept your apology, that's okay. God accepted your apology. And now you have to do like Jesus told that woman at the well, go and sin no more. If you do like some other people do and just keep doing it over and over again, the Bible calls you a fool, and I'm going to call you one too. You're a fool. You're returning to your folly, like a dog returns to the vomit. But at any given time, you can stop being a fool too. Where was I at? Realign your thoughts with the thoughts of God, and in any given instant, the universe is ready to begin again. The law of time and space are more malleable than we think. Mistakes and wrong turns need not throw us off. The capacity for correction is built into the universe, just as it is into the workings of a GPS. If you programmed an address into your GPS, but then take a different turn that it recommends, the GPS automatically creates a new route, and so does the universe. I must need to say that twice, because I said it twice. Perhaps you thought you'd get to where you want it to be financially through achieving a certain credential, doing a particular job, or making a particular investment. But then something happened. The economy worsened. You made a mistake, or something else, someone else did. The law of divine compensation gives us the assurance that the universe will simply create a new route. And that's true. But you so busy sitting at the door of that old route, new route. It's like, well, yes, you don't want to be bothered. You don't want to be bothered. What is lacking shall become abundant, and what is wounded shall be healed. From out of the blue or miracle-mindedness, miracles will flow forth naturally. Why? Because perfection is your eternal home. Write that down. Perfection is your eternal home. Being perfect is a mindset. And you don't, in the way the world thinks perfect, it thinks you mean you're self-righteous and you don't do any harm. No, I'm not perfect, but I'm brave. And so with me being brave, it makes me feel like I perfectly can achieve the things I need to in my life in due time. Perfection is your eternal home to which the universe is programmed to return to you whenever you have deviated for whatever reason from the thoughts that get you and keep you there. This is how loved you are. And this is where we stop, because we're going to go to chapter 2. Look how small these words are in here. You guys know I wear glasses, but my God, did they make that small or what? So we will get with chapter 2 tomorrow, The Power of Faith. I'm Tracy Lene. Remember, it's Monday through Friday. Read a book. This ain't Audible, so I'm going to add my 2 cents. But I think it's good to do that. I think it's good for you to see another perspective. I'm not always right for anybody else, but I'm always right for Tracy. Because if I'm not right for Tracy, I'll be corrected. I self-correct, or God will correct me. Either way, it was right for that moment. And you got to believe that about yourself too. As long as you're not running around here purposely doing stuff to people you know you got no business doing, just stop doing all of that. It's not going to come from, it's going to catch up with you. It's going to catch up with you and bite you on the ass right when you don't want it to. So you might as well stop it now. All right. Catch up with me tomorrow. Even if my grandchildren are in the background, the reason why I decided not to worry about that is because this is real life. You're living real life. And I don't have all the equipment to edit. And maybe one day I will. Who knows? But for now, I'm enjoying doing it this way. Because I'm like Frank Sinatra. Who sang that song? I Did It My Way. I think it was Frank Sinatra. Anyway, thank you so very much for your time. Signing off, this crazy, sporadic, random girl called Tracy.